Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Austra.
Let's start episode 66 of Ask Vidas and Oshra podcast. And this question was sent by William. And he writes that my question is I started working on the first sonata of Mendelssohn. How is it to be articulated? Detached or legato? The first passages are very difficult to keep smooth at tempo. Also, who has ideas on how to register this opening movement? I am working from score from 1920s. I think there has to be some thought on playing these great works of Mendelssohn. Interesting question. Have you played a few pieces by Mendelssohn,
Yes,
Usha?
I definitely have.
Me too. So I think we can talk about articulation first and then about registration, general ideas about uh, articulating about registering Mendelssohn's pieces because remember he wrote that preface.
Yes.
Great. So articulation. Do you think that in mid 19th century when Mendelssohn created his pieces, articulate legato was already out of fashion, or
I think it was getting definitely out of fashion, and I think that legato was the main way to articulate music, to play music.
so yeah, of course, in different places you would discover some remnants of Baroque articulation for sure, even in that spaces, because even village organs, instruments who would have mechanical action and Baroque specification, they would still be in mean tone sometimes, right?
Yes.
A mean tone temperament. Um, remember, we recently heard Professor Van Dyck, Peter Van Dyck from the Netherlands, play romantic Dutch piece, who was actually a student of Mendelssohn,
Yes.
and sometimes he articulated this piece with articulate legato.
Yes, that's true, but still, the main way to play it is legato. You use that articulate legato or non-legato only to emphasize the structure of a piece when the score requires it.
So all the notes should be slurred except in certain places, right?
Yes, like repeated notes, you don't, of course, you have to shorten them.
And staccato notes.
Yes, and end of phrase and beginning of a new phrase, you have to take a break to show the structure.
Or unison voices, when one voice overlaps with another and makes unison interval, like C in one voice and C in another voice. You have to shorten the previous note also, so that it would be possible to hear the two voices sounding or not one.
Yes,
And there is exact amount of rest you have to make, right, in these cases.
yes, usually you have to shorten it by half of its value.
So if the note is uh, 8 note value, so you make it 16 note and 16th note rest, correct?
Yes, and it's fairly hard, especially if you have, for example, more than one voice and one hand, and you have to keep one voice smoothly legato and another voice detached. So that's a challenge. You have to make sure you play with the right fingering. And of course, you have to use a lot of finger substitution. That's the way to do it. It takes time. It's a really hard thing to do.
And then if you have, for example, triple meter, when the notes don't divide exactly in half. So then it's kind of tricky, right? You have to calculate what's the unit value, what's the most common, fastest rhythmical value in this piece, right? Maybe 16 note, maybe 8 note, if it's a slower piece. So then it means that you should make a rest between repeated notes, between staccato notes, uh, with exact rest, right? That unit value has, right? In this case, 16 note or 8 note. Um, so that would be very, very precise articulation, and your playing would be much, much clearer this way.
Yes.
So Osha, now let's talk about registration. Mendelssohn himself wrote the preface for the 6 sonatas, and he wrote registration suggestions, right? First of all, do you remember those pieces should be played with 16 foot in the pedal or not?
Yes, we have 16 foot.
Always, except when composer notates differently, right?
Yes, so always use 16, except when it's written in the score not to do it.
Then Mendelssohn gradually explains the dynamic signs: pianissimo, piano, mezzo forte, forte, and fortissimo, I believe.
So basically 5 levels.
5 levels, yeah. You can add a couple of more, like mezzo piano if you want, but the general feeling will be the same. So what is pianissimo in Mendelssohn's terms would be very, very simple, right? Just the softest top on
Yes,
on your organ,
probably it's foot flute
or a string.
or a string.
Yeah.
Yes, string became, I think, more and more common in those days.
Mm-hmm.
String stops.
Then piano would be a couple of those soft stops combined.
Yes.
Then he goes to mezzo forte, right? So, but we could talk about mezzo piano. Mezzo piano probably would mean maybe combined a few soft stops, but also not only at the 8 foot level, but
At the 4 foot
4
level.
foot level too. What else? Mezzo forte. Can you engage already some of the louder stops, maybe
I think
principals?
yes, you could try it. It
Mm-hmm.
depends on your organ, but yes, you could definitely try it.
Forte for Mendelssohn means full organ without some of the loudest stops. Basically, this means without reeds,
I would say so, yes,
without strong reeds,
because
trumpets,
you already have to use mixtures,
mixtures, yes.
I guess, for a forte, but not reeds.
And fortissimo means simply full organ with reeds, yes.
Yes.
And with couplers if you want to. So that's the basic idea how to register Mendelssohn, but not only Mendelssohn, right?
Yes, you can do, I think, the same in Liszt pieces.
Um,
Schumann probably.
to some extent Brahms,
Yes.
maybe even Reger, right?
Yes.
Maybe even Reger, although Reger requires a special pedal, Walze, they call it, like a Rollschweller. You like a crescendo pedal,
Yes.
basically. You gradually add stops by moving this pedal. That's a later idea than mechanical action organs that Mendelssohn and Liszt played, right? We talk about basically Ladegast organs, right, which were built in the mid 19th century, and maybe to some extent the earliest Walker organs too.
Yes.
Excellent. So guys, please try to adapt those ideas into your situation. Maybe your organ that you have available, it will be different. You have to make compromises, but the general idea will be the same. Thanks guys. We hope this was useful to you, and please send us more of your questions. We love helping you grow as an organist. And this was Vidas.
And Usha,
And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.